What's up, everyone? It is the Friday version of the All49ers Roundtable, but it's only three of us today. It's Niner Nick Newman, Maverick Pallack, and me, Grant Cohn. So it's not really a roundtable. It's more like a triangle table or whatever. It could be a round table. It's a children's table. It's a buffet table. All right. First topic, Kendrick Bourne. He was on the COVID list, then he was off the COVID list. Or wait, yeah, now he's off the COVID list for the second time in like a week. Assuming he stays off of it long enough to play in this game, what are the expectations for him? How important is he going to be? And how much do you expect him to play? Nick, why don't you start?
We know who Kendrick Bourne is. No, we know.
No.
I can start. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
All right.
This is Kendrick Bourne's fourth year now. We know what kind of wide receiver he is. Last year against the Saints, he had some crucial plays. He had 2 touchdowns inside the red zone, had 3 catches for 18 yards. That's not a huge stat line, but the 2 touchdowns are what really stands out. And he has nice chemistry with Nick Mullens. I don't think fatigue is really going to hurt him because he's been out of practice, because when you look at the wide receiver position, you're in and out. It's not so much like you're on defense and you're sticking on the field and you're trying to slow. You can kind of work at your own pace on offense and kind of control the tempo that you're going at. So I don't think fatigue is going to hurt him this game. As far as what kind of impact he's going to have, his classic 4-catch, 50 yards with a couple first downs, a touchdown inside the red zone, building off that chemistry we saw from him and Nick Mullens against the Seahawks. Whether or not you want to say it was in garbage time is up to your own personal take, but I can see him contributing. They're going to need him with no Deebo Samuel and just Richie James and Brandon Ayuk and Trent Taylor status kind of up in the air.
I think it's an advantage just having Bourne, just having guys that we know are at least NFL receivers on the field. I think that helps a lot with how they used River Craycraft last week. I think is a good way they can use Kendrick Bourne this week, especially if Marshawn Lattimore's following Brandon Ayuk all over the field, which is what I think the Saints should do. And that will help Bourne. Bourne will be in the middle of the field a lot. The Saints linebackers haven't been as good this year as they were last year. We know what Cohn Alexander is also. That can help in zone defense. And I think Bourne can have a couple big catches. As Nick said, Bourne has good chemistry with Mullens, and I think that's a way to extend the drive a couple times at least.
Yeah, I think that's the key point, Maverick, extending the drive. Kyle Shanahan can do so much on first and second down. He can pretty much take the game out of Nick Mullens' hands on first and second down and call screens and shovel passes and stuff that you and I could execute. Nothing against Nick. That's just what Kyle Shanahan does. It's very much a Kyle production on first and second down. But on third down, Nick has to execute. And he's only so many shovel passes he can throw on 3rd and 6. So on 3rd and 6, it seems like Kendrick Bourne needs to make a play because it's not Trent Taylor. He's not even healthy. He's got a back. Maybe that's why he's playing so poorly. It's going to be, as you said, Ayuk getting shadowed by Marshawn Lattimore. That's tough. That's a tough matchup. Maybe Ayuk can win some of those, but they really need Kendrick Bourne to make some plays on 3rd down and in the red zone too. And if he does, they could win. I mean, if they can outperform the Saints on 3rd down and win time of possession, they could win. I'm not saying they're going to win, but I think Kendrick Bourne, even if he has a limited workload, what he does on 3rd down could make or break the game for the 49ers. So I think he's incredibly important, and the fact that he's coming back is a big deal. Let's stick with this game. Maverick, this is your topic. If the Niners lose the toss, the Saints most likely will defer.
No, that's Nick's.
My bad. I'm sorry. This was in the DM. Okay, so if the Niners lose the toss, that's right. This wasn't Nick's. The Saints most likely will defer, and the Niners will get the ball first. If the Niners win the toss, they usually defer, if not always.
It's always. Yeah.
They put their defense on the field, which is, I think, inferior to their offense this year just because of who's hurt. Should the Niners start accepting the kick return? Nick?
I'll start with this one because this is the one that I've thrown out there. So going back the last couple years, I first remember this really becoming a thing of teams always deferring. It's like across the National Football League, every team wants to kick it off to begin the game. So if you win the coin toss, really choosing to put your defense on the field first because you feel like you have an advantage getting the ball going into the second half. I remember that really becoming about during the Jim Harbaugh years. Maybe it was going on before that, but that's when I clearly remember the 49ers always deferring and across the National Football League.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at the 49ers this year, the team that they're putting out on the field, they're not built to come from behind. Every single time they've scored first, they've won the game. Every single time they fell behind, they've lost. So why are you putting your team? Kyle Shanahan's an offensive genius, supposedly. He can script plays to get you on the board first. So why do you put your team in a position where the defense has to get a stop before your offense goes on the field first? You have the opportunity 100% of the time, because the Saints, if they win the coin toss, they're going to defer. You're going to get the ball first. If you win the coin toss, you got to decide. And of course, knowing what the 49ers are going to do, they're going to defer, but they have a chance to set the tone of the game. When you're going in as an underdog, a 9.5-point underdog, whatever they are, why would you not take that opportunity to show the Saints that you are for real, that you're going to make a statement and you're going to go out there and punch them on the mouth on the first drive of the game? So I'm all for breaking the trend that you should want to get the ball first, believe in your offense, that they can go put points on the board, and then let Robert Saleh's defense do his thing. Just don't get all analytical and everything, thinking we have a better chance if we get the ball in the second half. That's got to go. Throw it out the window.
I feel attacked with the analytical slander, but my whole philosophy with it is based off how the offense and defense have played this season. The game's over if the 49ers go 3-and-out on the first drive of the game. Like if they receive the kickoff, if they did what they did against Seattle that first drive,
or Philly,
then it's over. But then with the Seahawks, when they got the stop, there was a little momentum for a couple seconds until they did a Jerick McKinnon Wildcat. So I think as long as you stay within a score, within 2 scores, you have a chance if you receive the kickoff in the second half. But if they go 3-and-out against the Saints on Sunday to start the game, it's hard for me to imagine with an extra possession that the Niners would be able to catch the Saints.
You know, Maverick's probably right that there's no analytics to back up this argument, but I'm on Nick's side 100%. I don't care if what the math says. Before the Rams game, I think I put in in the live blog, we could go back and check it doesn't matter. But I think I said if the Niners win the toss, they should accept the ball and get the kick for exactly this reason. They can't afford to fall behind. They can't afford to give up on their running game right away. And, they didn't win the toss. The Rams won the toss, and I believe they deferred. And I was like, that's great luck for the 49ers because they would have deferred as well. They scored first. I believe they scored a touchdown on that first drive and never looked back. So, I'm totally for that. Again, Kyle Shanahan has to reorient his thinking. Last year, he had a defense that could carry them to victory weekly with Dee Ford and Nick Bosa. They don't have that anymore. They have a defense that's plucky, that's good, right, top 10 in the league, but it's not talented. It's well coached. It plays hard. Fred Warner's great. You can't count on that defense to bring home wins. You got to do it with your offense. You got to, and you're the genius. I know you don't have your guys, but you still have you. So let's see what you got.
One more thing on the kickoff. Remember from my 3 thoughts a couple weeks ago, what do they have to do to get a kick return consistently to the 25-yard line? How many times do they have to not get it to the 25? Special teams is just interesting for the 49ers the last couple of years.
Have you noticed that teams are intentionally kicking short kickoffs so they have to take them out? That's what happened to Dante Pettis. Dante Pettis might have been instructed, hey, just do the thing with your arms and let it go over your head, but he caught it at the 3, and he's like, well, I guess I got to do this. Could let it bounce. Well, it's a live ball. It's a tough one. I don't think – if you let that bounce, I don't think you're going to be able to – I think you're getting benched. So it's a tough one. They need to get someone. How about Brandon Ayuk?
Walter looked good.
Yeah. I wrote an article on this earlier this offseason or in the offseason why he needed to be the kick return and punt return. If you look at his kick return and punt return numbers, not even just at Arizona State, but what he did at Sierra College when he was at the JUCO level, he's an explosive playmaker. And I get you don't want him to get injured, but really go back the last several years. When's the last time a 49ers kick returner or punt returner or across the NFL has gotten hurt? It's a really overstated that there's this false narrative that returners always get hurt. It's just an additional. Well, Dante Pettis, that's a good one.
Pettis notwithstanding.
Yeah.
But yes, that's a good point, Nick. That's a good point. Okay, let's move on to another topic. Stay with the game, and this is the serious topic. This is the topic of the day. I have a lot to say about this. You guys got to bring out your A game. What is going to determine the winner of this game? What is this game going to come down to?
I'd say they have to run the ball and run it effectively. If they can't run the ball, the game is over. They're not going to be able to win a battle of arms between Nick Mullens and Drew Brees. And with the Saints, their defense, if they've given up over 90 rushing yards, this is a very ticky-tacky number, but over 90 rushing yards, they've either gone to overtime or lost all 4 of those games. If it's 90 or below, they've won, which that's very small numbers to go with, but it shows that you need to run the ball against the Saints to win. You can't go toe-to-toe with Brees. Even though he's lost some velocity and some arm strength, he's still very accurate, and he finds his guys when he needs to.
Good answer.
That's
a tough question. Nick.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I agree with Maverick. They have to stay balanced. You're not going to be able to win a 48-46 shootout against the Saints this year like you were able to do with Jimmy Garoppolo last season. I don't see that happening. I'm going to get very simple, and I really think the team that scores first is going to win this game. It's very cliche, but I think whoever throws that first blow is going to be the team that wins, and that's why I've been emphasizing the 49ers getting the ball first so much, because I truly believe if you give your defense just a little bit of breathing room, maybe you score first, you force a 3-and-out or force the Saints to punt, you have an opportunity to go up 2 possessions all of a sudden. So I really think scoring first, the team that scores first is going to win this game. I don't think there's going to be any lead changes it's not going to be super interesting towards the end. It's the team that scores first is going to win.
Okay, those are really good answers. Let me do my best to rise to your level. I'm saying this game is all about third down on both sides. Because like I said earlier, Kyle Shanahan can really take control on first and second down. He can do so much. But if Nick Mullens stinks on third down and is getting hit and is throwing picks and can't make the right reads, Niners have no chance. No chance. But, Nick Mullens' quarterback rating on third down this year is 95. He's got Brandon Ayuk coming back. He's got Richie James. He's got Jordan Reed coming back. He's got Ross Dwelly. He's got Jerick McKinnon, Kyle Juszczyk. Doesn't have Debo and Mostert, but there's a lot of weapons there. If they do well on third down, if they go 50% on third down and keep their drives going, they could win the time of possession. Now, on the other side, the Saints have a great offense. And to me, what makes it great is their third down. They're number 1 on third down. They're not a big play offense. Brees doesn't have a big arm. He doesn't really push the ball down the field very well anymore. It's a lot of short stuff. It's a lot of passes to Alvin Kamara. If you can stop them on third down, you can beat them. If you can't, if you allow them to be the top third down offense in the league that they are, and they just keep moving the chains, you lose. They win time of possession. They just grind you out. And that's what they did to the Bucs in the last game. So what do you do on third down? Well, I went back and watched the team that did okay against the Saints on third down a few weeks ago, the Chargers. What they did was they mixed it up. But what they did was they played a lot of zone, which is interesting. You think you want to play man, but if you play man against the Saints on 3rd and 4, Sean Payton has a million different bunch formations and rub routes to get a 5-yard pass. You've seen it a million times. So what Bradley did was he would play like standard cover 3. But instead of having those cornerbacks kind of bail, they'd be playing real tight to the line of scrimmage, almost like cover 2. So it was almost like 5 underneath, 1 deep. It's like, hey, Brees, if you're going to beat us today, you're going to have to go deep. You're going to have to push the ball down the field. We're taking away Kamara. Now, Michael Thomas didn't play in that game. But we're taking away all the slants and checkdowns and all that other stuff. And we're going to make you throw down the field to Jared Cook. Now, he had a lot of success with that on 1st and 2nd down against the Niners last year. But if they can get Drew Brees consistently having to throw the ball down the field and take away all those checkdowns, especially on 3rd down, they got a chance, guys. They really have a chance. Does that make sense? I think.
Yep.
I don't know if they can do it. I was watching. There were some interesting things that Bradley did. He would play a lot of 3-man rushes with zone behind it and a man lock on Kamara. I thought that was clever. Or what you ever see is 2 deep man under with a 4-man rush. Bradley would do 3 deep man under with a 3-man rush. And the idea is like, do you really need to pass? Do you really need to rush Drew Brees? Is it even possible? The ball comes out so quick. Make him throw into coverage because he can't run. He's not a scrambler. Make him throw into 8-man coverages. It seemed to now the Chargers lost and they gave up 30 points. It's really hard to beat this team. They're great. They got a full deck of cards on offense, but I think if you can get creative with how you're taking away the short stuff on 3rd down, you win. We'll see. So we'll see. I think we'll look at this game and whoever was better on 3rd down will be the winner of this game. Check it out. All right. Moving on. What is your advice for Nick Mullens going into this game?
To play freely, but under control. We saw 2018 Nick Mullens where there was not a lot at stake. Really go out there and sling it. And then you look at what he's done this season. He's made some very boneheaded decisions, throwing the ball up for grabs instead of throwing it out of bounds or taking the sack. So you want to see him play with that sort of fearlessness and just go out there and play the quarterback position while also being mindful enough to get rid of the ball and make those appropriate decisions when the pressure's coming at him. So that's my advice to Nick Mullens, is that he can move the 49ers offense. We've seen it on 2 different years now. 2018, he's done it this year. So that would be my advice to him. Play freely, but be mindful of those awful decisions, those awful picks that you threw in against the Eagles and the Packers, and eliminate those at all costs, because this is not a football game where you can give the Saints additional opportunities.
I think he has to trust in Trent Williams. I think he got a little psyched out with Justin Schools blocking last week. And although I don't think they necessarily would have had that much better of a day, I think it did hurt Mullens a lot. That pick, I think, was a little more on School than and the chip block. I think it was McKinnon that was the running back that he missed. But anyways, trust Trent Williams, and then throw to the open man quickly. Don't wait back there. Let the pass rush get to him. The Saints don't have the best pass rush in the league, but they do have very good guys that do get after the quarterback and do go for the ball too. David Onyemata is having a really good season. And then, like I said, use the short passes. But enough talking about myself. I'll let you talk about me.
That's good. No, what I would say to Nick is don't press and don't get down on yourself, because they're going to ask a lot of you in this game. You can't just be a game manager. They're going to help you out with the Jimmy Gimmies. You're going to get Jimmy Gimmies on first and second down, but you're going to have to make big time throws on third down and in the red zone. A lot of them. And you're not going to make all of them. In fact, you might get picked. You might make a couple mistakes. You can't let 1 or 2 mistakes affect the next third down, the next play. Because I see that from you sometimes, Nick. I can see it, like when you missed the throw against the Eagles. You could see it. You could see it in your body language the rest of the game. Like, I got to make a play. I got to make up for that mistake. You can't play like that. One of the best things about Jimmy Garoppolo before this year was he had no conscience. He'd make a bad play, and you could see that he wouldn't think any less of himself. He'd be like, well, that happens. I'm still me. I'm still good. Let's go show him. And that's what you have to be. You have to be the guy who responds with poise after a mistake, because you're going to make a couple in this game. And there's just no way around it. They're going to ask a whole lot of you, and you're going to have to play above your level to even compete. And, it's okay if you throw a pick or 2. You're going to have to throw for like 400 yards today, man. I mean, on Sunday. So go for it. Play free and easy, like Nick said, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, look like a better Jimmy. Look like a better Jimmy, not a worse Brett Favre.
Yes, exactly. Advice for Eric Armstead heading into this game. Friend of the show.
I'd say just contain the edge on those jet sweeps, those Taysom Hill plays. I think they're going to, if it's close, they will use him. If it's not close, I doubt they use any of their crazy plays. But Taysom Hill, contain the edge. And then also Kamara's going to be taking those out routes. And if you can get a little chip on him, that would help at least a little, just throw him off his game. But people are down on him because his numbers are down, but it's a what have you done for me lately league. And if he can get 3 sacks to end the season, that'd be a good end to the year. It's not what he's being paid for, but a good end to the season would build a lot of momentum into next season when Bosa's back, Kinlaw gets a full training camp, and I think the Niners line would be better if Armstead had a great end to the season. Me
too. I agree. Nick.
Simply put, show up. Eric Armstead just needs to show up. He goes MIA, and when you're a defensive lineman that gets paid to the extent that he gets paid, you have to let the quarterback know that you're there. And I feel like the 49ers pass rush across the board, but specifically looking at the guy who's getting paid the most to get after the passer, you need to make your presence felt one way or another. Yes, containing the edge is important. Grant, you've been on him for that for over the course of the last several weeks, pretty much all season. I'd like to see him translate those pressures into quarterback hits. Let the quarterback know that you're there. He's just not going to be able to drop back, he being Drew Brees, and have a field day and just get off any sort of throw he wants. Make your presence felt. And to piggyback off of Maverick, he has 7 games left to redeem himself for the first 9 games of the year, because right now, yes, the 49ers can get out of that contract by cutting him post June 1st a couple years from now. But the bottom line is he does not look like an $85 million defensive lineman this season. And I have a problem with paying a complimentary piece that much money. He's a glorified run defender who got paid a lot of money because he had a 10-sack season last year. So he needs to step up and be a difference maker. Do something that's game-changing. Get a big third down sack and just simply show up. Let the opponent know that you're there and you mean business.
Let the opponent know that you're there. Let the fans know that you're there. Let the media. I didn't see him. Okay, look, I want to take responsibility for Arik Armstead's poor season. He was really playing with a lot of effort the first 3 games. He was being undisciplined. He was giving up contain. And I think I made too big of a point of that. I mean, I kind of publicly embarrassed him. And he, to the point that he needed to respond. And honestly, ever since then, he's been doing nothing but containing quarterbacks. He just stands there. It's like, I'm not letting Grant Cohn embarrass me. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to. And, you know, he's done a pretty good job containing quarterbacks. And in his defense, he's playing out of position, playing D end. And he has played a lot of mobile quarterbacks where that's really been the number one job. This week, that ain't the job, Eric. You're going against 41-year-old Drew Brees, who never has been mobile. There's going to be 3-man rushes, 4-man rushes. Just go for it, buddy. Go for it. Hold nothing back. This is the week to do all gas, no brakes. The last few weeks, you've been all brakes, no gas, and I understand that. Now you need all gas, no brakes, no conscience. If you need to dive at Drew Brees' feet, if you need to give up contain, go for it, because he's not going anywhere. He wants to throw the ball in the pocket, go get him, knock his head off. If you can't, don't knock his head off, because Ahmad Brooks got in trouble for that in 2013. But you know what I'm saying? Just play hard. Do what you were doing before I made fun of you that one time. That's what you got to do. That's my coaching point to you, Eric. All right. What is your advice for Robert Saleh going into this game?
Am I the ones?
Whoever wants to take a crack at it.
I can start this one. I went back and watched the first 2 series the 49ers defense played against the Seahawks, because over the course of those first 2 series, the Seahawks ran 9 plays and picked up 5 total yards of offense. They had some costly penalties. Mitch Wishnowsky did a good job pinning them at the 1-yard line. But I like the creativity. Not that, like you talked about, Grant, you talked about having more of a coverage approach and daring Drew Brees to beat the coverage and not blitzing. But I kind of like that aggressiveness.
Okay,
yeah,
fair enough.
Well, I kind of like the aggressiveness, because the offensive line of the Saints is giving up like the 3rd or 4th least amount of sacks. They're giving up whatever rate it is. I know their defense is averaging like 3 sacks per game. I forget what their offense is giving up, but it's the 3rd lowest amount in the league. They've invested heavily in their offensive line. They have Andres Pete, the left guard, Teron Armstead, and Eric McCoy, right? Cesar Ruiz, who they drafted from Michigan this past year, and Ryan Ramczyk. They invested a lot of draft capital.
It's like nothing but first-round picks on that.
It is.
Or something like that, yeah.
It's like the 49ers defensive line, they just turned it around and did it on offense. Basically that same approach where they're trying to protect Drew Brees, knowing he's not mobile and can't really protect himself.
Right.
So just looking at Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, they've had so much time to throw where the Saints receivers are going to get open. If Drew Brees has 4 or 5 seconds to throw the ball, he's going to make the right decision. If no one's open, he's going to throw it away. I don't see him making game-costly mistakes, which is why I loved on that second play of the Seahawks game, here comes K'Wan Williams with the corner blitz. I want to see Jamar Taylor doing that. I want to see Fred Warner blitzing. I want there to be pressure on Drew Brees. This is a very different 49ers defense, and I want to see the aggressiveness and trying to cause turnovers and not play it so safe and conservatively.
But real quick, since I said coverage and you say be aggressive, I don't disagree with you. Whatever Saleh does, he's got to mix it up. You can't have like one answer on third down.
No,
it's like
I agree with
there's
that.
a rotation of 3 or 4 things you got to throw at him. But you're
Absolutely.
right. You're right.
Keep them on their. You got to keep them on their toes. And I'm not
Absolutely.
saying that you need to blitz the entire game with the whole have him win with the cover. He'll be caught off guard. He'll have it in his head if you're hitting him with the blitzes. Like, okay, when's he coming? When's he coming? And then when you're dropping back, that's when the mistakes happen. But you got to keep Sean Payton and Drew Brees on their toes. You have to.
Right, because they'll adjust if you do the same thing every time. Maverick.
I just think learn from what Todd Bowles did last week and know that's not the answer, because although I think Todd Bowles is a good defensive mind in the NFL, he got overmatched last week. They had no chance. They were playing soft coverage on a team that throws soft routes. And you'll never be able to convince me that was the right game plan. That's one of the things, like, I could listen to it for hours and wouldn't know. But Saleh can, Saleh can do the opposite, play some more man, and we've seen they've been playing a lot more man since Sherman's been out, and that's been working. And then, as Nick was saying, blitz a lot, use Jamar Taylor, use Fred Warner, get Tarvarius Moore out there if he was allowed to. We all know he's not allowed to play, but if he could, that'd be nice. And then, as I told you yesterday, Grant Brees, 5.5 intended air yards per pass attempt. Play the short pass. If he throws deep and Jared Cook beats you for 80 yards on the first play, tip your hat. Like, there's no reason why you would think that would happen. But play what you've seen on tape.
As far as blitzing goes, you got to be real careful against Drew Brees. I mean, blitzing the greatest quarterbacks of all time can be dangerous. So what I would say, when you do have to blitz him sometimes, a good way to do it would be with his own blitz, where you're still only rushing 4 and you're just kind of concealing where it's coming from and trying to overload one side of the protection. Here's what I'm going to go back to what I said with Saleh. This game comes down to third down. They're going to do a good job of limiting explosives on first and second, because that's what they do. And the Saints don't try to get explosive plays anyway. They just want to get to 3rd and 4 and then get a 5-yard pass. So to me, what you got to do, I actually been in favor of playing what I said, this like cover 3, but really like 1 deep, 5 underneath, like flood that underneath zone. And what I would say is bring Jimmy Ward down to strong safety. You want him in the action. Okay, you want him there, not playing deep. You want him underneath in a position where he can make a play, and you gotta play Tarvarius Moore, Robert Saleh, because Marcel Harris had a shot last year. He stunk. Marcel Harris is good against running teams like New England, but if your whole game plan on third down is to flood the underneath zones and force them to go deep, then you better have a free safety in center field who can make a play and cover ground, and you do. You freaking do. His name is Tarvarius Moore. He's number 33. He went to Southern Miss. He's on your roster. Please, man, put him in center field. Don't ask Marcel Harris to play center field while Jimmy Ward's in. Don't do it, dude. Please don't do it. Please don't do it. This is the one piece of advice. Play Tarvarius Moore. He could make the play that wins the game for you. You know he's not gonna have to make too many plays against the run. It's a passing game. Put him out there. I'm serious. And you know what? I think they might. I think that might be one of their curveballs this week. I think they might. So we'll see. If they don't, I'll lose my mind. I'm just gonna lose.
Same. I will too.
What is that line from Billy Madison? I'll just snap. If any of you attempts to cheat, especially with my wife, I'll just lose it. Okay. Advice for Kyle Shanahan in this game. And that's the last of the advice, I promise.
Run the ball, please.
Yes.
And that's really all I have to say is just run. Those jet sweeps and shovel passes count as runs, in my opinion. They're extensions of the run game. Just run it, please.
Yes. I like that.
We need to see more creativity from Kyle Shanahan. Grant, you pointed out against the Packers that the first screenplay of the game to Richie James didn't come until the 3rd quarter. It should not take that long. When you're undermanned on offense, you're missing so many key guys like Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel. You have to get creative and catch the opponent off guard. I like the razzle-dazzle we saw last year with Emmanuel Sanders throwing the touchdown pass. Not that that's what needs to be done on Sunday, but the theme is creativity. Get creative with how you're running the football. Don't be so traditional with it where you're giving Jerick McKinnon all these touches running the outside zone. Get Brandon Ayuk. Richie James is such a tremendous gadget player, and you could use him very similarly to Deebo Samuel. Yeah. And that's one of your strengths as an offense. That's your identity. Short area passing, at least it was with Jimmy Garoppolo.
Gadget plays.
I don't think it's that far off with Nick Mullens either. Have the Saints instill it in their minds that you're going to attack them around the line of scrimmage, short area passing game, getting the ball out of your hands quickly. And then that's when you start to take those shots downfield that we saw Nick Mullens and Richie James do an excellent job of against the Packers. So I want to see more creativity with Kyle Shanahan. The extension of the handoff play, like Maverick's talking about, those swing passes, jet sweeps, The screen plays, I love it. And you got to do more of it if you want any chance to beat the Saints.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you too. You got to have all those Jimmy Gimmies, the gadget offense. I was on with, not humble brag, I was on with ESPN New Orleans today, and they said, Grant, what is the identity of the Niners offense? And I was like, that's a really good question. They used to have one. They really don't have one this year. But if the closest thing they've gotten to establishing one is this gadget offense. I mean, they haven't had Mostert enough to be a dominant run team. But when Kyle Shanahan is into it, they have just an amazing gadget offense. So, yes, of course, that needs to be in there. Losing Debo isn't good enough excuse to abandon it. Richie James can do some of that stuff. Brandon Ayuk can do some of that stuff. Stop babying them, okay? Because it's not like Debo got hurt with a collision on an end route. He pulled his hamstring. That could happen doing anything. But what I'm going to say for Kyle Shanahan, and this applies every week, Kyle, look at me. I'm talking directly to you, Kyle. Just play your best players, okay? You're a top 3 play caller in the league. You're really good. And even without a bunch of starters, you're doing a good job. But last week you played River freaking Craycraft 51 snaps or something, and you played Kyle Juszczyk 23. That should never happen under any circumstances. It's unacceptable. You're better than that. You need to play your best players. Robert Saleh too. There's no excuse that Tavarius Moore should be on the bench all these weeks. You need to get the ball to Kyle Juszczyk consistently. You need to play Richie James Jr. consistently. As long as you just play the best players on your offense, you give yourself a chance to win every week. When you got River Craycraft and Trent Taylor on the field doing God knows what, you don't give yourself a chance to win. That's all I say. Look, you could say Kyle Shanahan is elite. He's a genius. His X's and O's acumen is unquestioned. But part of being an elite play caller is your utilization of personnel and ball distribution. And I just feel like sometimes he forgets, like, why did you play River Craycraft 51 snaps? Like, were you just focused on your plays? Or you should be focused on your players. Instead of focused on what concept beats this coverage, you should be thinking, who have I not gotten the ball to today? And if I haven't gotten the ball to Kyle Juszczyk, let me look at my play sheet. For the 10 plays I like most to call for Kyle Juszczyk, just call one of them. That should be right there, man. That's easy stuff. Don't let it happen where someone crucial just disappears from your game plan, because you don't have that many good players on offense right now. You can't afford to be playing River Craycraft 51 snaps and give him 5 targets. That should never, ever, ever happen again. And I hope someone that works for you told you that this week and not just me, because it really bothers me that he could get away with that. Someone in that organization needs to be mid-game like, Kyle, what are you doing? Stop. Is everyone afraid of you? That they can't say, dude, enough with the wide receiver formerly named River or currently named River. Enough. Kyle, I'm telling you, you got to stop. All right. Because I really think this game is they could win this game. As long as they do everything right, they have a chance. And it's hard to do everything right, but that part of it is like playing the right guys. Kyle, Robert. All right. So we did that. We did this. We did that. What else we got? How about one reason to be optimistic about the offense moving forward, particularly after the bye week?
Well, after the bye week, you're likely getting Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, and Deebo Samuel back. So that's all the optimism you need right there, because when this offense was at its best, when it was clicking, when they had some form of an identity, it's when Raheem Mostert and Deebo Samuel were healthy. So you could even scratch not having Jimmy Garoppolo, George Kittle. I feel like Kyle Shanahan knows how to work around that. But the two guys he does not know how to work around not having are Raheem Mostert and Deebo Samuel. So those two guys provide all the optimism needed regarding the offensive side of the football post-bye.
I was going to say the same thing, Deebo and Mostert coming back, but also the defenses they play after the bye are not as good as the defenses they've been playing, at least in my opinion. The Rams, I think the 49ers have shown they can run on. They might not be able to pass on with Mullens, but with Mostert possibly back and Deebo, they can win that game by just running the ball. And then Buffalo, we've seen, has a porous defense. They make plays, but they have a good head coach that is a defensive mind. And then Washington football team is probably the best defense they play for the rest of the season. Maybe Arizona, but they can win a couple of games if they just keep running the ball.
That's a really good point. They're not playing great defenses, and I think what could happen is the last 6 games, the Niners offense actually could be good. If they're going to go anywhere, the offense has to take them. The defense is outmanned. And the reason I say it's got to be the offense is even though Kittle's out and Garoppolo's out, they're going to get everyone else back. Debo's coming back. Mostert's coming back. And so after the bye week, they're basically going to have a full deck of cards, a full house minus Kittle, minus Garoppolo. So what we've seen from Kyle Shanahan is he's pretty good no matter what. But if he has all of his receivers and running backs, he's really good. And of course, not having Kittle is always going to hurt this team. But going from Garoppolo to Mullens in 2020, I don't see as a downgrade. I'm not saying it's an upgrade, but I'm not saying it's a downgrade either. I think if this offense has everyone minus Kittle and Mullens is in there, I think he can do well. I think he can play well. I think he can put up good numbers. I think he can win. Because again, when they have Mostert and Debo, it's like they don't even play with a quarterback. It's just like a different types of handoffs, basically, with a couple of throws down the field. I think they could really go on a roll, on a run offensively after the bye week if Debo, Samuel, and Mostert are healthy. We don't even know that they will be. I think that's like hoping. But if they do come back and they're themselves, they still have Kyle Shanahan to figure this out. And we kind of saw him do it last year. I mean, Jimmy had a good year statistically last year, but he didn't have to do much physically difficult. And I think that's what they're going to have to hope that Kyle can do for Mullens, because Mullens isn't that kind of wow thrower either, right? So that's the reason to be optimistic. The return of Debo and Mostert, arguably the MVPs of the offense. All right, let's flip it over to the other side. What is the reason to be optimistic about the defense, particularly post-bye week?
I would honestly say that the offense can be better. You won't be as put in as many horrible situations by the offense, short yardage field scenarios, bad interceptions. I think if the offense improves, the defense would then in turn get a little better. Less 3 and outs means more rest for the defense. And then also getting healthier. They obviously won't get Bosa back, but we'll see what Sherman can contribute if he comes back. A couple other guys just need to get fully healthy, and I think Saleh will be able to do it. Like I said, a lot those teams that they play for the rest of the season. Buffalo, if you take away the deep ball, can be beat. Obviously, Seattle got burned by them a couple times. Washington football team is starting Alex Smith. We don't even know if he can throw 30 yards, and because of that injury, like he's been doing checkdowns. Dallas, I don't think anyone's afraid of Dallas. So there's a lot of teams they can look pretty good against.
Not looking at the schedule and the opponents, I'm not overly optimistic with the 49ers defense. I wrote a piece last weekend where if you take away the games against the Giants and the Jets, and I think the Patriots game too, wherever they were playing really bad offenses, like bottom feeder offenses in the NFL, they're giving up 30 points a game against all these offenses with any sort of firepower. That's what they're averaging. That's
to be fair, they did pretty good against the Rams. But you're right. Every other team. What I'd argue, and to Maverick's point about the defense getting better because the offense is putting them in a better position, that's the Rams game. Look at the time of possession battle. The 49ers had the ball 38 minutes that game to the Rams 22. That's a huge time of possession differential. So I agree with Maverick. And this defense, the less they're on the field, that's any defense in the NFL. The less that they're on the field, the better off that they're going to be. But when they're forced to stay on the field and the offense is not helping them out, let's just say the defense stays as is, or the offense were to stay as is, and eliminating the offense from the conversation of how this team can improve defensively for the final 6 games after the bye week, there's not many reasons to be optimistic. Fred Warner's a stud. The secondary does not make too many plays because of the pass rush. Jason Verrett's been playing extremely well. He's one of the lone bright spots with him in, like, Jason Verrett and Fred Warner, your only players worth mentioning on defense. Emmanuel Mosley's been getting cooked over the course of the season. Eric Armstead's underachieving. Jimmy Ward's underachieving. Dre Greenlaw's been solid. And then if you look at Kerry Hyder, and I'll throw Kerry Hyder a shout out over there. But outside of that, the pass rush is not doing what they need to do for the defense to be effective. So I'm not optimistic about the defense. Yeah. Keep going.
No, I was just going to say, unless you talk about what Maverick talked about with the offense helping them out by limiting their time on the field.
Yeah, this was a trick question. And you guys nailed it. I thought I was going to stump you with this one, but the only reason to be optimistic about the defense in the second half after the bye is that Debo Samuel and Raheem Mostert are coming. And you think about those two really helping the offense, and they do, but they also really help the defense. Because we've seen when those two aren't out there, the Niners can't stick to the run game. They have no identity. They have no identity. Their starting running back is Jerick McKinnon, who's a good player, but can't handle more than 12 carries in a game because he also needs 3 or 4 catches. So all of a sudden, they become like a pass-first, one-dimensional team that can't even compete, and their defense just gets destroyed. So, yeah, Debo and Mostert coming back is a huge deal for the whole team. All of a sudden, the defense can go back to playing 25 minutes a game. That's a good formula for success. So, yeah, this whole Mostert-Debo reunion thing has big-time implications. I wonder if they really will come back. If Raheem Mostert isn't back week 12, the Niners, the season's over. They kind of – it's all about Raheem Mostert, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like
no, I
Debo's
totally
coming
agree.
back. Yeah. All right. Last question. Over-under and pick a winner. Take it away.
Over-under, pick a winner. The over and under, this is according to ESPN, over-under is set at 49, and the Saints are 9.5-point favorites.
Say it again.
Saints are 9.5-point favorites, so the 49ers are receiving 49.
Oh, really?
And a half. 49 and a half.
Wow. Okay.
No,
right.
Oh, I take that back. I'm sorry. It's 49 exactly. The half point goes to the spread.
I see. So they think the Niners aren't going to score much. They think it's going to be what? 30-20? Something? Okay.
That's right.
Well, that'd be 50 though.
I'm terrible at math. I'm really bad at math. I think I just showed everyone. I just guess. So was that 47, 50, 9, 65? Okay. Yeah. Sounds pretty much close. So over under and pick a winner. What's up?
I was the bad guy last week. I was the bad guy where Leo, Luna, and I were the only 2 SI riders to say the Niners were going to lose to the Packers. I had that feeling. And I have this hunch that they're going to win this game. And here's where I'm going with this. It's the NFL. Last week, the Steelers, the undefeated Steelers, almost lost to the Dallas Cowboys after the Cowboys embarrassed themselves on Sunday Night Football. I think this is one of those games where the Saints have a division opponent coming up next week in the Falcons who can, of course, move the ball. Maybe you overlook the 49ers and Nick Mullens with how undermanned they are and take them lightly. And that's why I think coming out and really sticking it to the Saints early can pay all the difference in the world. And I like the 49ers' chances to slowing down the Saints offense because there's no deep threats. It really comes down to Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw. Yeah, Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw need to just tackle Alvin Kamara. You cannot let Alvin Kamara get loose. If you stop Alvin Kamara, you're going to win this game. You can't have any missed tackles. And I think the 49ers are going to do a good job of doing that. It's going to be Fred Warner versus Alvin Kamara is the key matchup for me in this game. And whichever player gets the better of the other, that team's going to win, in addition to whatever team scores first, which is going to be the 49ers who win this game 24-20. They cover the spread and win outright.
Oh, hey, I got to say, if the game comes down to Fred Warner versus Alvin Kamara, I like the Niners' chances. Maverick.
Well, so I picked the Saints just because I didn't want it to be where I picked the Niners all 16 games this season, and I looked at the schedule.
I'm on pace. Yeah.
I looked at the schedule, and I thought this was the only game where I thought, like, okay, the Niners don't have a real shot. But as I was looking at it, I think they can win, definitely. I think it's going to be the over because I think the Niners are going to run the ball a lot, and I think that will succeed against the Saints defense and get Quan Alexander out in space if he does play. I think that will play to the Niners' advantage. How many times are we going to see Jerick McKinnon Wildcat read options toward Quan Alexander? Can we see that? Will that work?
Yeah.
But on a serious note, I think the Saints win by less than 9 points. I'll go, what would be covering? 35-30, 35-31. But I think the Niners could win if they get a big defensive turnover. I think they need 1 turnover at least to win.
Yeah. Nick almost swayed me there for a second. I was listening to him. I was like, and he made a lot of great points. And I'm not saying the Niners won't win. I think they're going to compete. I do think they're going to compete. I think this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I think the Niners' offense is going to play well. I think the Niners are going to have a great plan on third down on both sides of the ball. I think they're going to be really prepared and fresh. They're really good on the road. The one time they lost on the road, they were coming off a previous road trip. The other times they've been on the road, they've been really good. The only reason I'm going to say the Saints are going to win this game is I still feel that the Niners are depleted. I mean, they don't have a running game yet. They can't commit to the running game because Jerick McKinnon has a limit, and JaMychal Hasty is JaMychal Hasty. You know, he's an undrafted guy with X amount of career carries who's fumbled once and doesn't have the full trust of anyone. And then you got Austin Walter. So it just seems like the Niners still are identityless on offense. So I think that if they can just lose this game 30-27, which is what I'm going to pick, that's a big confidence boost heading into the bye week, that they went toe-to-toe with the best team in the NFC on the road, and that without Deebo Samuel and Raheem Mostert. If they can win without those two, just give the Niners the NFC title right now. I mean, what a confidence boost that would be. But I don't think they necessarily have to do that. All they have to do is compete and know that they went toe-to-toe with a great team on the road without their 2 MVPs on offense. And I think that's a big moral victory. I can't.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you, Grant. Do you think, wherever you're going with your take, do you think it does more for that winning culture that we've been talking about and emphasizing, or do you think they can still get into the playoffs losing this game?
I think they can still get into the playoffs losing this game. The way I see it is they got to go 5-2 the rest of the way, and this is the most difficult game left on their schedule. They don't have Deebo Samuel and Raheem Mostert. They're playing the Saints. They don't even expect to win this game. Now, they expect to compete, and if they do win the game, great. But I think if you're counting on them to drop 2, this would be one of them. You know what I'm saying? So it's not the end of the world if they lose to the Saints, but if they lose 40-7, it's over. I mean, it's just going to be a depressing bye week. They got to compete, and I think they will. I think they're going to lose 30-27. I think the offense is going to look good. And I think the defense is going to look good too. It's just there's only so much you can do against the Saints without Nick Bosa, D Ford, all these guys. So 30-27. What does that make?
I mean,
Niners cover and I'm going the under, taking the over. Okay.
Well, even with all those guys last year too, the Saints offense dropped 46 points with a healthy. That's a game that D Ford got hurt in, right? I think he played 4 snaps in that game. So
that's right.
Well, didn't K'Wan Williams also get hurt? And was that the game Sherman got hurt in, or
that's right
next week?
That's right.
I thought. Wait, K'Wan Williams. Did you say K'Wan Williams?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yes.
I was thinking
because I remember DJ Reed and having to go in, and it was a whole little fun mess at the end. Yeah,
it was. Well, I'm hoping for an exciting game. It's not going to be anything like last year's, but it could be interesting. And I think honestly, how the Niners lose this game is going to determine the rest of the season. If they win, what an accomplishment! It would almost be the biggest accomplishment of Shanahan's career as a head coach. I mean, no one expects him to win this game. 10-point dogs. It's not the biggest, but it would be huge. Huge. And what a condemnation to the Saints it would be. My God, it would be embarrassing. It would be freaking embarrassing. No offense to the Niners B team, but it's the Niners B team. So I just like to see him compete.
Does it compare to the Falcons playing the Niners last year at all to you?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Now, the Niners were undermanned in this game. The thing about the Saints is they're kind of healthy. Everyone's there. It's really going to be really freaking hard. I mean, even if Saleh does everything I said with the flooding the underneath zones, it's like you still have to handle Emmanuel Sanders and Michael Thomas. Like, good luck.
I feel it could be one of those classic trap games where the Saints are coming in riding so high, where they just beat the Buccaneers 38-3, where they come out somewhat lethargic and just not motivated, knowing that they have a game that they view as a cakewalk. Because I'm sure the Saints, it's just natural. When you play sports and you know that you're significantly better than your opponent because they're dealing with it, whatever adversity they're dealing with, you have a tendency to take them lightly. Your coach will say over and over again, don't take them lightly, but it's kind of inevitable. So I can see the Saints playing victim to a trap game and losing.
Absolutely. The Niners are one of the best coach teams in the league. They're going to be prepared. They got a week and a half to do this. They're rested. I'm curious to see it. I'm curious to see it. It could be a trap game. And Nick, if you get this right, you get ultimate props. That's a very, very, can I say ballsy? That's a ballsy pick. Terrific. I love it.
Well, the article I have ready to go in Tempest, the NFC West preview, we do our weekly predictions. I'm on the leaderboard right now, and I ended my video saying, if you want to listen to someone, you want to listen to me. I'm in first place, not Grant, not Maverick. Grant,
I think you're in last.
Second. You're only one game back, Maverick. You're back in the mix.
Am I in last?
No, you're second to me.
I'm
We're
second?
like 1 and 2. Yeah, you're a
Me
game back. I'm like,
I assumed I was losing. I'm
I
terrible
think
with
I'm like 18
prognostications.
and 13 or something like that.
Who's
And
in
you're
last?
like, Marco.
Ha! Marco.
No,
Pola. All right. That's enough. We did
that's
it.
enough.
We did it. That was a good one, though. I enjoyed it. It was an intimate roundtable today. It was a
Close circle.
Inside the journalist studio. Really appreciated all your input today. Thank you, guys. I had to block one person, though. You know who you were. You know what you did. You're out. Everyone else, you guys are. What?
You should have took his phone. You should have took his phone and make him wait outside in the classroom. That's what you should have done. Blocking him is just as effective, though.
That's right. Yeah. Okay, guys. See you next time. Take care.